Hey everyone, I'm just putting together my system and I thought I'd shoot a little video and go over how to build a system like this. This is all DIY. It's made out of 13-gallon Easy Store buckets. All the pipes were purchased locally from the plumbing shop. I did end up buying the lids and bulkheads from Current Culture. The lids fit perfectly on these Easy Store buckets, so it's a nice little upgrade. So yeah, I'm going from I started out with a 10 site in a 5x9 gorilla tent, and I've kind of just grown from there. I built this room out and had a 20 site, and then I went down to a 12 site, and then now I'm gonna do a 16 site. So that's why there's so many of these Fernco couplings sitting around, because I've done so many modifications on sizing my system and different layouts. So if you're going to use glued bulkheads and you want to reconfigure your size, you're going to have to cut your pipe and you're going to have to use Fernco couplings, or just, you know, keep it one size and just keep it there. So what I've done is all my joints here. So I just have an insert piece in here, and what I've done is cut my bulkheads so that there's about, you know, 1.5 to 2 inch, just enough to grab with the coupling here. So that'll fit on top. Like so. And then this will go inside of here. It's a little hard to do with one hand. That'll go on there, and then that goes on there. Then I like to make sure everything's butted up real nice so that everything's smooth inside. There's not big cracks. And then once everything's nice and flush in there, then I'll start tightening up these gear clamps, and I'll line them up nice and straight so that they're on the bottom with this writing. I don't want the writing to be shown, so I'll line up these guys with the writing and put those on the bottom so they're not visible. And then I'll also lay them out on the floor here so that they're accessible with a wrench, just in case I got a little bit of a leak. I can come in here and tighten them up pretty easily. So first step is just laying out your buckets. You're gonna wanna access your plants from both sides. This middle row, I can pretty much reach over to this side of that bucket. It's not a big deal, or I can reach around here. I can get to every side of the plant pretty easily. You wanna just make sure that you can get around. You have a clear pathway. This room here is just under 12 feet and just under 12 feet this way, and just under 13 feet long. So I'm just laying out my buckets right now. Because I've cut this down, I kind of got everything laid out, and I can't do a video of me gluing everything together, but basically what I have here is my return lines. So this is a 3 inch, and then I got a bushing that bushes down to 1.5 inches, and then 1.5 inches by a 1. Then I come off with 1, and then 1 inch valve, and then a 1 inch barb, which my return line hose will hook up to and Y together. So I'll have 2 return lines. And once they hit this section here, they'll Y together and then go to the pump to that line right there. So I'll explain that other room, or my epicenter, here in a moment. So yeah, once you got everything laid out, it's just a matter of taking some measurements. So I know I wanted my bucket space this far, so then I took my couplings, or my bulkheads, sorry, put them in, and then took a measurement of that center pipe, or the center pipe. So all I do is make 1, 2, 3 times 4, so 12 cuts of that length of pipe, and then every bucket will be the same distance. And then once I get here, I'll find out my distance from here to here, and then I'll cut my pipe accordingly for here. These will just butt up together real nice because I started out with a 4-row 20 site, so this is going to work out good. So these Fernco couplings also allow me to break everything down so that I can clean the system really good. I can get in there with a little brush and clean every angle. I break this system down every single run and I hand wash everything. So I'm pretty anal about having everything nice and clean in the system and in the room. So I'm just waiting on lights to arrive. I'm going to be running Grandmaster level. I'm going to be running 2 Tarantula long legs and 2 Tarantula Vulcan boards. And then in my 5x5 in this room here, I'll be running a new unreleased light called V2, which has 5,000 plus diodes on it. So pretty excited to get that before it hits the shelves. The front of the system here. So the front manifold, once I get those back manifolds measured, I'm gonna know my distance from bucket to bucket here. So then I'll just get that distance here, and then I'll find out my insert pieces for here. And then you can have your epicenter in the room right here, like Current Culture does, but I've decided to have it on the outside of the room here. So this is where I can do all my adjustments. I don't have to be in the room. I can work around here with the lights out, no worries. So yeah, once this bucket's set up, then you can run that line through the wall, however you want to do it. Every setup's going to be a little bit different. I ended up using T's on here just so I can clean a little bit better on these longer runs. The reason I didn't use T's on these elbows here like Current Culture does is because I've ran Current Culture systems in the past, and what I found is these end caps here, they're gonna collect a lot of biofilm, and yeah, I just kind of like to reduce that as much as possible. So if you go with the 90s, you're gonna get like zero buildup of film in there, so that's what I want. So yeah, first step here is just do your layout, get all your pipe measurements, go cut them, and then slap it together. Measure twice, cut once, right? Just make sure you get it right. Especially if you're gluing fittings together, you don't want to get it wrong. Or order a few extra if you can, just to have on hand. It doesn't hurt. Accidents always happen. Some things crack. I've noticed some of the rubber seals here, sometimes they'll get a little dry and they'll crack, so these have been lasting for quite a few years though. They're nice and thick. So, and I would highly recommend bulkheads over uniseals. I did uniseals for years, 2-inch. I never had any leaks, but I always hear people complaining about leaks, so you got to be pretty good at cutting holes in plastic. I'm a plumber by trade, so all this stuff is pretty simple to me, but I know how it can be very daunting to somebody who doesn't understand plumbing. So yeah, just make sure you glue everything nice and take your time, and yeah, everything should go smooth. So this is first part here of putting my system together. I will do another part here as I put things together. I'll do a part on the air lines and the return lines, and then I'll go into my epicenter here and what I got going on here with all these lines and what they do. Some are isolation valves, some are drain valves, some are prime valves. I got an autofill Growy nutrient doser and a top off float valve in there. This line also runs to my holding tanks that I have in another room, which I'll go over later. So yeah, I pre-mix all my nutrients and then deliver them to the system once everything's stabilized and good to go. All right, so we'll see you at part 2. Peace.